Welcome to Hello Universe,
where perinatal peeps come for more evidence, more clarity, and fewer WTFs. We're Jen and Heidi, labor nurses, educators, and research obsessives, here with you in podcast form.
From deep dives to surprising rabbit holes, we're here to help you think differently about the work you do every day.
Let's launch. Hey guys, welcome back to Hello Universe.
Hello Universe. We are going to do today's podcast based on another reader, listener, follower question, because we feel like we might answer it one place, like the newsletter, like the Well-Versed newsletter, but there's always so much more to talk about.
Yeah, and that was in written form. Now you're getting it in live form.
Yes.
We're talking through it. So we have, it's called the Nurse Hotline, where you guys can actually submit questions to us. You can do it through DMing us on Instagram at hello.universe or on our website at universe.com. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a contact form and you can submit a question to the Birth Hotline and we will answer it.
We will go down that rabbit hole.
Yes, we will. We will. And like Jen said, we'll answer it maybe in a newsletter or here on the pod or both.
I mean, I personally love when we get these questions because it's
right.
One, I am astounded at like that things change, right? We have to be so aware and so comfortable. And the way I would have answered this question 2-3 years ago and now is definitely, I mean, it's not a lot different, but there's definitely more nuance to it. And I think that's something that evidence gives us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's dive into the question here. So what we had sent into the Birth Nurse Hotline is, can we talk about early AROM, which is artificial rupture of membranes? And it feels so backwards to me. And yet, apparently to reduce our C-section rate, we're going to start encouraging AROM before 4 centimeters. They did a question mark and an exclamation point.
Yes.
So
all punctuation was left intact. Right?
Yes.
So this nurse is feeling very skeptical. And I mean, with good reason, right? We're really taught AROM is like a later thing.
Yeah, because we're like, then you're kind of opening them to infection. We worry about that. That it's just
the
kind of
position of the baby.
Right. It just seems more of like towards like an end game thing.
Yes. Working where we work in the Northwest, like the bag doesn't actually have to break.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in spontaneous labor, we're not saying, nothing about, the question has nothing to do with about, whether they're, an amniotic sac is left intact versus AROM'd in spontaneous labor. This question, just to be like super clear up front, is about in the course of induction of labor.
Yes.
For medical reasons. That will be our caveat because I know people are like, and then they got on and they started saying...
They started saying some real wild stuff.
Physiologic birth, spontaneous labor, you leave that alone, right? We don't want to intervene in normal. If they are normal, they're just cruising. Normal's not a qualifier of anything except for just they're doing things the physiologic
we don't have to use
ways.
We don't have to use our tools, which AROM is a tool.
Right. AROM's a tool. Induction, tool, right? Those are medical interventions. So it does feel really, really backwards, but it's something that's coming up more and more because ACOG has a new-ish 2023 recommendation for early amniotomy as an adjunct to labor induction. So the first thing is, they cite all of these different randomized trials and all of these things to go along with this. But I think just like even back it up is for our purposes today, like what is the definition of early AROM?
So what is that definition?
Early AROM means that it's rupture of membranes either just after like expulsion of the Foley balloon or just after cervical ripening and before you start Pitocin.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to do anything with cervical dilation per se. It's just you do it after cervical ripening and you do it before using Pitocin.
Okay. Is there a more like specified time frame for that or?
I mean, within the 1 to 2 hours after.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 to 2 hours after cervical ripening. But yeah, just after cervical ripening, but before you start anything else is what they're saying is early amniotomy. And so they've made this practice guideline and they're citing, their main reason is that it can decrease time to delivery and decrease C-sections.
Okay.
And so physiologically, I think we can there's like a few probably principles at play.
Yeah.
We're shifting the environment from like a fluid mediated pressure system to just
that head just pushing on that
direct
cervix.
mechanical, right? So that's going to obviously be like changing that.
It's going to help with our Ferguson reflex, right?
Right. So there's going to be that direct cervical pressure. Amniotic fluid's full of
hormones, prostaglandins.
Right. And so, it has all of those, effects as well.
Right.
But what was really interesting, obviously I have my own biases. So when we think of that evidence-based funnel, I'm like, okay, I know I have biases of like, don't touch people, don't do early AROM. In my mind, I'm thinking infection, I'm thinking malposition, I'm thinking more pain, all of these things. So for me, I'd be like, no, but I really forced myself to go back to that like top of funnel.
Okay.
And relook at the research. Okay.
Proud of you for doing that.
Yeah. Okay, ACOG, where'd you get this stuff? Where are you going? So there's also, I think something to talk about is like publication bias. So we do tend to have more heavily weight things that are published in like medical journals versus nursing journals. I've done some peer reviews lately of nursing works. And I know the evidence base. So if they're asking you to do a peer review, it's because they think you have some knowledge of this topic to be a peer reviewer for these journals. And so I got one and I know the literature pretty well. And then I looked at their reference list, and out of say 20, I don't remember how many it was, but say 20 references, it was like 17 from medical journals and like 2 or 3, and didn't even cite like the guideline from A1
Gasp.
in a nursing work. So we do have this publication bias, which an ACOG certainly does too. Like their guidelines are going to be pulling from these more medical journals. But they pretty much cite this one that showed that it could speed up labor.
Is that across the board though?
There was an analysis that was out in like 2020 by Batterby, I think is the last name et al. And they did look at some subgroups. And so some of the groups, overall, if you just applied it to a whole population of people giving birth, there is going to be a benefit. But that means some people, some groups, some subgroups, depending on their characteristics, are going to have a lot of benefit or most of the benefit. Some no benefit, and some groups are going to actually be harmed, and like it's going to be increase their C-section rate. And that's what they found is like specifically, like this is one of those classic, like more research is needed. One subgroup that they found was nulleps who are also obese were actually had worse outcomes with early AROM. Well, I think what we know a lot about like worsening outcomes and obesity, this is not my area of expertise, but what I've seen like in my deep dives maybe on like Pitocin is that it's mostly like, they've encountered anti-weight bias. So for so long, and now you're in the hospital giving birth, which is like one of those most like bodily focused activities. And you're in this like small gown, you're like, everyone's poking and prodding at you and stuff. And that could be if you've had poor experiences prior, and now you're just, everyone's hyper focused on you and your body and the body inside of your body, i.e. your little fetus. I just think that the cortisol has got to be running.
Oh, for sure.
And cortisol and oxytocin are
not friends.
They are not friends. They do not work well together.
Yeah. So, that's going to play a huge thing if the person doesn't feel safe and they've had bad experiences before, and then, that can translate to really like pretty much anybody.
Really to anybody. So then you like go further. It's like, well, did we study the diabetics in early AROM? Did we study people with preeclampsia? Did we study people with, help, all of the different things? What about people who are underweight? What about people with, twins? What about at what gestational age is it the most beneficial? Like the 40 and 41 weekers are beneficial, but the 39 and below are not beneficial. Like, I think we just, before we just say, this is what we're doing for everybody, again, we have to filter through that funnel and say,
we got to go back to that funnel.
Go back to their funnel and then use our experience to say, okay, is this research, right? So there's this guideline. That guideline's made up of research. Did we actually, is what the guidelines saying the research say actually what the research says? Oh, that's controversial.
Ooh. Drama,
right? We don't do that. Like if A1 or ACOG or ACNM or SMFM or whoever comes out with a guideline, we just are like, they read the research, they're telling us what it says. But I do think if you've got some time or something doesn't quite sound like, have that questioning attitude, question the answers, and look at what the research really says. And when we did that for this, to answer this question, we found one, there is evidence for early AROM.
Yeah.
Which surprised me, to be quite honest. But then you go one step below that, you're like, oh, for some people, but not others. So it still takes that middle part of the funnel.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense. And that's true for, I think, a lot of things, that it's not a one size fits all sort of thing for anything. It's like, okay, we have this research, but then also who was that research done on? How do we apply it? And then also you have to look at the other things that are going on with the patient too. Right. So that's where it's going to take this experience of us actually looking at it and not just being like, hey, ACOG says we're going to rupture your membranes and that's what's happening. And if they push back or question, right, that can make us really uncomfortable. But we say like, hey, there's this recommendation. It's based on this research. Here's how I think it applies to you. Do you want to do that or not? Somebody might be like, heck yeah, I feel I'm a perfect candidate and you think this will make me have a shorter labor? Absolutely. And some people will be like, I don't know that that applies to me, or that just doesn't line up with my values. Yeah.
Or maybe they're just like, my sister had ruptured membranes and it didn't go well after that. Or, they might have some, how often have you had a patient that's like, oh yeah, once my mom's water broke, the baby came 15 minutes earlier. You're like,
I'm going to need a table in here.
I'm going to need a table in here before we do this, right?
Yeah.
So that personal piece, so that personal history, stuff that doesn't, we're not going to study, or maybe we don't even know why it happened, but we all hear those stories all the time. We've had those experiences. So that's where like that evidence-based funnel, I think, really is applied in a good way, thinking through this question that they sent us. I was like, it was like a little exercise in humility for me.
I think so. Yeah, it was interesting. Like one other thing that interested me when we were talking about AROM and like looking into it was about whether or not they should AROM like before or after an epidural.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And historically, we were always like, let's get you comfortable.
Get them the epidural first, because you don't want to do something painful.
Right.
Right. But then we found,
especially if the recommendation or the consideration is going to be for an early AROM.
Yeah.
How much movement does that baby still need to make and do to get through the pelvis? Where, AROM at 7 centimeters or whatever, they're rocking and rolling, right? They're active, they're cruising, they're engaged, all of these things. But like,
so that, anyways, that particular paper said it actually do the AROM first and then get them the epidural and try to delay it for at least 30 to 60 minutes. Yeah. Which I actually did that a couple weeks ago.
How did it work?
It actually really great. So the plan was kind of, she knew that she wanted an epidural. Yeah. And then the plan was like, the next thing was like, we want to break your water. And she was like, yep, that's what I want to have done. But let's get my epidural first. And I was like, well, actually, and so we had this like whole discussion about it. And I was like, here's like how I think this could look. And then you tell me like how you feel about it. Because other thing too is like what the patient wants, right? Their
100%.
Voice is clinical data.
Yes.
It's very important. And so I was like, here's what I think this could look like for you. You also mentioned to me that you really want to you want to bounce on the ball. Once you get the epidural, you can't be bouncing on the ball.
No more ball. Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, if we do the AROM first, you kind of bounce on the ball. I get the room and everything kind of set up for you to get your epidural. And then, kind of see how you're doing. And then get your epidural like after that, you know, around that hour mark, depending on like how you're feeling and stuff, you know? And she's like, oh, I like that, because one thing that she was sort of freaked out with the epidural, even though she really, really wanted it, was like not being able to move.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and our patients are not dumb.
No, they're not.
They're smart. And so it's like, I love that you were able to just offer her some new information.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know you're like fine either way that she had decided to go, or her and her partner decided to go. But also how comforting it would be to me as a patient to be like, wow, my nurse is like pretty smart. Or like, I like that they're able to talk me through sort of this like physiology or the mechanics of this in a way that makes sense to me. Because I mean, that was drilled into us in nursing school, like, oh, patient education, right? And we're not, to be clear, like we're not doing informed consent or anything like that. What nurses do is do patient education. So yes, we're allowed to teach folks about the pelvis, labor, what is rupture of membranes, what happens during labor, rupture, all of these things. And so to give her that information, I'm sure she was just like, oh, I'm in good hands. Yeah. This hot blonde bee knows exactly what she's doing. So it worked out for her.
It was great. She was really happy. She got her time on the ball, got to like move around a little bit. And then, you know, kind of like, I think she liked too that then she was like kind of able to like clean herself up, you know, because they hate that.
Right. I mean, who doesn't want to be sitting in like,
I know it feels like you're peeing yourself. Right. It really does. It's the weirdest feeling, sensation.
Or you think your water broke, but you did just pee yourself, which was
you.
Hey, you can be a labor nurse, but you are definitely still a prime up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, I think, you know, you just go into a different mindset when you're the patient. You know, it's kind of like, you know, then like when you get into your mom brain and you're worried about your kid, it's like your nurse brain just sort of shuts off, and you're, you know.
Do you remember Pam that worked with us? Okay, this is how bad she effed with me as a prime up. So I came out of the bathroom and I was like, Pam, I lost my mucus plug. And she goes, well, go get it. I don't know what I was thinking.
Jen.
I did. And I brought it back out to the nurse's station on a napkin, and she made me show it to everyone. And now I'm like, she was messing with me. I'm sure they were all like, is she going to really do it? I know.
What purpose did you think?
I don't know, because your brain does not work at the end of pregnancy. It doesn't work at the end of pregnancy. So it's like, how could I have been a labor nurse? At that point, I had been a labor nurse for 7 years, like such a dum-dum. But I am a little bit gullible. Like when people tell me or something, my default is to go, oh, okay.
You know, you are very trusting.
I'm a little bit more trusting of a person. Yeah. And so, but man, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I do have a soft spot for prime ups because I'm like, yeah, you know, especially when they come in and they feel really bad. Like, oh, I'm sorry I came in. If it's nothing, and you're like, nope.
You have to come in. You don't know.
You have to come in.
Because it may be something or maybe nothing. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I tell them, like, don't worry, I was also
in.
triaged for peeing my pants. And I had been a whole labor nurse. They're always like, oh, that actually makes them feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to your patient.
Back to your patient.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to divert back from your mucus plug.
R.I.P. Rest in plug.
Rest in plug. Yeah. So anyways, I think it's so important to present all those options to patients, because it's like it's their story. It's their journey. It's their thing. And then, you know, that we're reading through that research, we're working through that funnel, and then able to present these things to them and like help them to choose what's going to be like the next right thing for them.
Well, and to be not just like, yes, we're going to get you the epidural, we're going to break your water, but like, you know, if we do it in this order, like how much more like active, I guess, in their participation of their own birth, like, because I think we can either be constantly inviting or disinviting people in and out of their own experience. And as a labor nurse, we want to always be like actively, you know, it's not it's not comfortable, I think, for most people to be. We get that birth in a hospital is like a relatively newish thing.
Yeah.
We want people who need to be in the hospital or / want to be in the hospital to be there. But it's no secret. Like, it's not like a normal, natural environment for people to be birthing in, right? We did birth at home forever and ever and ever until like 100 and something odd years ago.
Yeah.
And then even then, not even everybody. Just
and still not everybody.
And still not everybody, especially in Oregon. We're like, what, 5-6% home birth or birth centers? Yeah. So pretty high here. But yeah, so once they're in the hospital, I get that there's always going to be these like power structures that we're navigating. But one of the ways that we can start to level that and to be constantly inviting them in is offering them evidence base, offering them information, but then being explicitly clear, like the funnel stops with you. You're choosing. And I just love that story. I love like how empowered and like that she, by all reports, enjoyed her birth.
Yeah, she did.
Found that an empowering experience. She's off to mom. Yeah. In a better state than maybe having not had that experience.
Good. I hope so. Yeah.
But she did.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She was very grateful. You know, I had been with her all day and she was just awesome. They were a really cool couple. And she was like getting to the point where she was like about to deliver and it was change of shift. And it was like when I hate that. I hate that. You know,
I do want to go home.
I know. It's like you want to go home because you're exhausted because you've been there for a long time.
People are sometimes like, when are you getting home?
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just was like, oh, I don't want to leave her. She was so close to delivering, you know? And so then I ended up staying.
Yeah.
And she delivered like within like 5 minutes, like after like my shift technically ended. And she had such a good delivery and she like was just like so honored that I had stayed and like thanked me so much. And so it was just like,
it's such an honor to be part of their birth experience.
Oh yeah. I was like, no, thank you.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I don't think that will ever get old for me as a nurse, is like to be part of somebody's birth.
Yeah. I know. I think about that so much that, you know, anytime people come through those doors, their lives are changed forever.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad.
Right.
You know, and we're
to bear witness to that or to participate in that is like,
it's just so amazing.
It'll never get old for me.
No. Me either. I know you were kind of talking about in an earlier episode about how, you know, our patients just really bond with us and like kind of look to us for answers. And like, you know, it is just like such a sacred
duty
experience and duty that, I will forever just feel so honored to be part of.
Yeah. Shout out to Heidi's patient from whatever a few weeks ago. That was you. You did freaking awesome, man.
You did awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So love having little things like that.
Yeah. And so I think that that's a way that like we really can see that this whole like evidence-based theory play out is like we took current research, up-to-date research, put it towards in a modern example with this patient, our experiences, and then they made that ultimate decision. And now the loop is going to be continuing to like evaluate, okay, does this hold true for different groups of people, different subgroups, right? We don't want to clump everybody together because that can change like the effect size, right? Make it look like there's a difference when there isn't, or maybe there's even harm for some people. But also now like your middle part of the funnel, your nurse experience is like, oh, well, worked for that one. Let's see how it works. You know, maybe this, in this scenario, that scenario, right? We're going to keep putting our own experiences with it. And then, as patients keep coming through those doors, we'll keep offering them their choices.
Yeah.
So, well, I hope that answers everyone's questions about early AROM. If there's something we didn't get to or make sense, but yeah, it's one tool in many. Is it like the only way to speed up a birth?
No, it's not.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have a whole litany tools, tricks. We've got the peanut ball. We've got us, the providers. We've got the ways in which we use or don't use. But right, we have all of these things. But those, for today, we're just talking about early AROM.
So thanks
One
for
tool.
joining us. Again, if you have questions, you want your question to be answered on the Birth Nurse Hotline, drop us a DM, fill out our contact form on our website. We would love to hear from you.
Yes. Let us go down a rabbit hole, please.
Please. All right. We'll see you soon down the next rabbit hole.
Down there next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Hello Universe.
For more evidence, clarity, and community, head to universe.com and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at hello.universe.
Nursing is wild. Practice with confidence.